Yep,
Next time we got Krexus.
This was a really good question. I really enjoyed this.
Yeah.
It was more or less, right? So that were there larger stories for Krexus, right? And there's something we talked about a little bit as well, where there's clearly stuff didn't go to plan in Shadowlands. There's clearly cut content all over the place. And this one was very much, was Krexus supposed to be...
I've even heard from staff of a different end villain.
Yeah. So like,
put it that way.
Yeah, was Krexus... was there scrapped stuff in that story, or was there misdirection involved? Was it supposed to be, hey, here's something that might be happening? Oh no, and they're dead, and things happen. And fundamentally, Stephen, obviously, you could say, well, he doesn't have to tell the truth. He's not, he's not under oath here. He can obviously lie, but he says if you take it in good faith, it was intended to be neither. The reason Krexus is in the loading screen and features heavily in marketing stuff is because they more or less had a choice. Do we just kind of spoil the whole thing with the Primus being back and like throw up the Primus's appearance and stuff and do all that? Or do they put someone who's a little bit more obviously what Maldraxxus is kind of showing off to be in marketing and how we're kind of showing Maldraxxus a lot of ways, and put another rep there? And they ultimately said, yeah, so we'll put Maldraxxus, we'll put Margrave Krexus there, and that'll be the rep. And also it looks fair Maldraxxus, right? Doesn't look like old Weasley. Obviously, the Primus did a good job of looking like a strategist necromancer, but it's very much military might. Military might. Krexus definitely was military might. Yeah. So very much was the way. So they did that, and then when on death, the point was that Krexus was like that part of Maldraxxus that wasn't exactly the Primus's strategy, but the more military discipline kind of part. And then when Krexus dies, then Draka and Coke can pick up that torch and exist as those characters going forward. And that was very intentional. And then Hero said, that's more thought than they'd imagined going in. And then Steve basically said, they spend a lot more time with characters behind the scenes and like working on them and thinking about them before they ever go into actual materials, before they actually make it into the game. And that's something I think we said a lot during Shadowlands, was a lot of these ideas, if you operate in the purest form of good faith and you go, okay, if these developers had more time, what do you think we would do with them? What do you think they would do with them? Can you I guess, complete a story that's more full instead of this one that doesn't feel full? And a lot of that was, these are good ideas. These are incomplete ideas. These are good ideas. These are incomplete execution or executed badly for a variety of reasons. In the writer's room, they clearly had a lot more fun. They clearly had a lot more, kind of stuff planned. Clearly a lot more, maybe not like solid beats planned, but they had ideas and they get to talk about what themes are going on and what everything is like. Why would this? Oh, because the players will feel this and it means this and here's how it is in stories and stuff. But we don't get to see all of it, and that's the problem. Where in Shadowlands they clearly hit that worse than ever before, where maybe they wrote for themselves in a little bit of a way. Maybe it was just COVID production and lack of team size and lack of team capabilities at the time really did them in dirty. But generally it is a reminder that the writers have a lot more time with their characters than we do. Yeah. Hopefully they need to remember that, I think.
Yeah, I think it's also, it is especially hard for the game that they're making. I think about, the process here with Pale. Like, we haven't cut a main character. We haven't... yes, things have shifted and changed, but a very substantial proportion of the writer's vision for every character makes it into the Pale Beyond, right? With as well, plenty of pieces of characters being found along the way as the game is made. Because it's a game with a tight scope, right? It knows exactly what it's got to do. But then if you're trying to do that in an MMO, where it's an MMO, so that has inherent problems. It's a massive game worked on by hundreds of people, so sometimes a feature just may not fit, and then that changes a bunch of your plans, and maybe you had that all narratively tied in. That's the other side. Game development is a nightmare. Trying to tell a story in a humongous project is also a total nightmare.
Yep.
And I guess it's why across so many games that are big live services, you see their stories being told via transmedia, via little, cinematics at the start of the Battle Royale season, stuff like that, right? Which is totally not how World of Warcraft works. Which, not an excuse, it's just to say, yeah, it's hard.
Indeed.
It's hard. Because you can't just say, yeah, just do it perfect, though. because shit happens.
Yeah.
And I expect in a game like World of Warcraft, shit happens probably to a shocking degree.
I imagine it's just a constant flurry. I imagine they just have a fan hooked up and there's just a sewage pipe connected to it. And that's just how they live. But they've got like antibacterial umbrellas and that's just how they sit at their desk.
Oh,
I feel like that's a little bit how it feels. It's just consistently awful. But I think it's good that at least they're like that question was good for us to get a little bit of a glimpse into them going, oh yeah, like being aware of that, I think, as opposed to Steve deterring going, what? Krexus? Who's that again? Oh yeah, that guy. No idea. No idea, don't remember anything. Because that would have been really bad. But this is very much just, oh no, actually you're aware of the issues. You know the stuff you make that's not going in. So you just need to be better about the selection of that and make sure to not to plan too much that doesn't get in there. Or at least if you're going to plan extra stuff, make sure you can use it later. Like I imagine they seem to be doing a lot of like the void and stuff like that.